I'm now very, very excited to introduce our keynote speaker, Kevin Guthrie, who is the director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. With over 30 years in public safety, Kevin has played a key role in emergency management and mitigation in one of the most disaster-prone states in the country. He was recently appointed to FEMA's Review Council, a group focused on improving and streamlining national emergency response. And today he'll share Florida's experience with recent storms and how his team is using technology to strengthen emergency management. We're very, very lucky to have Kevin joining us today, and I'm very excited for his session. Please join me in welcoming Kevin.
Hey, JT, thanks a lot for having us and allowing the Florida Division of Emergency Management, whose vision is to be a leader in the industry nationwide, if not worldwide. And I'm just so happy to be here to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at the division and also how we are utilizing Forerunner. I know that some of my team is going to be with you a little bit later in the show today to talk more specifics about that. But again, I'm very, very glad to be here and helping, helping everyone build just basically a stronger and safer and a more efficient community where they're at. So again, thank you very much for having us here today. The first thing I think I want to talk about right now is just, a personal inflection point. At the state level, we strive to implement updated technology and continue to innovate through leadership's education and common sense. My three priorities for the Division of Emergency Management in Florida, again, I've already talked to you about our vision, which is to be a leader in the industry in everything we do, but that comes through three very distinct things. Number one is engage technology, and that's more about what we're talking about here today. The second thing is comprehensive process management. I think Forerunner obviously has a little bit to do with that, in that you help us streamline complicated, complex processes, right? So again, engage technology, comprehensive process management. And the last thing is profession development. And we want to develop the profession to be better at engaging technology, better at AI, better at all of these processes that we do. So FDEM strides, has made a lot of strides in the technological advancements, enabling us to be faster at what we do. We have digitized and leveraged new processes that have allowed us to distribute recovery funding faster than we've ever done before. To date, there's been about $12 billion since Governor Ron DeSantis took office, and I took office with him. That's more than we've ever done in any other governor in the history of Florida. And now we face the new challenges and changes with responsibilities. This year, coming up with the Atlantic hurricane season quickly approaching us, we are working with state, local partners to be prepared to take on even more additional responsibilities. As you mentioned earlier, that with me being on the FEMA Council now, what does a new FEMA look like? What does reform look like? What does the president mean by when he says, I want states and counties and cities to do more? So we are looking at, again, go back to our core mission, those three things: engage technology, comprehensive process management, and profession development. How can we do those three things at a high level and help our partners around the country? And hopefully we'll get that done today. So let's talk about Florida being on the front lines. The 2024 hurricane season is now behind us, so we can reflect on this past year's successes and challenges, and work together as we continue to lead through the excellence with the Florida Division of Emergency Management and Governor Ron DeSantis. Despite being faced with back-to-back storms, within 2 of those being within 10 days of each other, we managed to achieve more and implement new best practices than any other hurricane season that we've ever had. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about those accomplishments. First and foremost, everybody thinks that you got hit by 3 hurricanes. We actually got hit by a 4th tropical system. That was 90L back in June of last year. So we actually got hit by 4 particular systems that caused catastrophic 250-year flooding in Northeast Miami-Dade, where I actually have to be at today. I know some of your viewers are like, that is not Kevin Guthrie's office. I'm actually in Miami-Dade today in Doral, sitting in their director's office. But that kind of tipped off this season and did 11,700 missions that we had today. Regarding infrastructure, we were able to complete restoration of electrical services and infrastructure within 4 days in Debbie's landfall, within 7 days of Helene's landfall, and also within 7 days of Milton's landfall. Our human services branch put out more than 1.5 million hot meals, distributed 200,000 food boxes, and 83,000 survivors stayed in more than 282 shelters statewide. The agency's logistics section did 2.5 additional shelf-stable meals, 5 million bottles of water, 170 semi-truckloads of ice, 90,000 tarps, 1,500 generators were placed around the state of Florida, and over 2,150 Floridians were actually rescued by men and women of either the United States Coast Guard or the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission and Florida Highway Patrol, along with our 10 urban search and rescue teams. All of this was done with the help and support of our local and private partners, that we have been able to respond quicker, more efficiently than we ever have before. Some of those frontline stories that we've had, we've done, again, working with our partners at the Coast Guard, going into, it's almost like The Guardian, the movie, where Kevin Costner says, we go into the core of the eye of the hurricane and we rescue individuals. The United States Coast Guard certainly did some of those rooftop rescues that we remember so vividly in Hurricane Katrina as we come up on the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. But those things were happening. People were getting rescued by swiftwater rescue teams on rigid hull inflatable boats. And those things were driven by technology. How did we put our force laydown? We certainly learned a lot between Hurricane Helene and Milton on our force laydown, and we were able to do a better force laydown geographically with technology to be faster if the same thing would have happened with Hurricane Milton, and we're very, very proud of that. With Hurricane Milton making only landfall 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene, it was very important to remain flexible under the pressure of back-to-back storms. And we had prepared for that last year. About this time, May of last year, we had prepared for 2 major landfalling hurricanes. We actually said, let's take the 2004 hurricane season and the 2005 hurricane season, let's combine them. That's what we want to be prepared for. So we were already ready for a double major landfalling hit, and that's exactly what we ended up having in the Tampa Bay area. After just shifting gears from the response to recovery, even sending teams up to North Carolina, Helene, FDEM had to quickly respond and adjust ahead of Hurricane Milton. I already talked to you about how we use technology to help us geographically lay down our force laydown so that we were ready, better prepared, if you will, for Hurricane Milton in an area that had obviously just been devastated by Hurricane Helene. We facilitated in our mutual aid branch over 900 missions with statewide mutual aid and emergency management assistance compact. 33 states, many of which are probably on this call today, and I want to take the time to thank you for responding to Florida's need. We are the #1 recipient of emergency management assistance compact in the country. No state requests more mutual aid assistance than the state of Florida. A lot of people don't know that my division only has 225 permanent employees. We are one of the smallest per capita emergency management programs in the country. But how do we force multiply? We go to the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, and we bring in help, in this case last year, from over 33 states to help us respond to that. So for all of you that responded to our time of need, I want to say thank you for that. Through early outreach to mutual aid entities, DEM assures that cost estimates are collected quickly on the front end to allow our recovery teams to begin the expedited process of getting those individuals paid. We are very, very ecstatic that through technology, we are now paying our EMAC partners usually within 45 days of receipt of their expense package. In the past, just 2 years ago, that was well over 400 days. So we've been able to cut a lot of the red tape by engaging technology and being much faster at that. The past hurricane season, we maintained close coordination during the off season to continue to build and maintain those relationships, and also with our EMAC partners. Through local, regional, and state meetings, conferences, trainings, and exercise just like this, we strive to improve our mutual aid branch and mature the statewide relationships and nationwide relationships. As far as coordination and collaboration go, we obviously work well with our partners, and that we both nonprofits as well as the mutual aid that I just spoke about. But coordination and communication is key. I think it's very important that in my title as state division director, when I go into a gray sky environment, it is the state coordinating officer. That is my title. It's not state commanding officer. It's not state controller officer. It's the state coordinating officer. And very, very essential to that is communication, coordination, and collaboration. So that's what we really focus on, of collaborating with each other, collaborating again with our states, our federal partners, letting them know exactly what we're going to need before the disaster ever happens. For example, one of those is we go to FEMA and tell them, look, if we have to evacuate Southwest Florida, for example, we're going to need 300 ambulances. So FEMA already knows if we see something coming in that direction, they need to go ahead and activate that contract. If we were going to shut down 3 of our 4 fuel ports, we're going to immediately ask for 1 million gallons of fuel from the Defense Logistics Agency through FEMA. So those are all things that we do, and it comes through us working with those partners. Obviously, as you see here on the screen, Salvation Army and our ESF 15 volunteer partners. Our entire left side of our EOC is nothing but volunteer agencies. I often refer to as we have the Bible Belt, and the belt buckle is right there in the Tallahassee EOC, because all of our faith-based partners come in and help us out. And we do not discriminate against any type of religion. We will take everybody in there to help us solve the problem. So again, all of that is coordinated by our Volunteer Florida program, and we're very, very happy with our VOADs. And our main focus, again, for them is to bridge the gaps and make sure that we're having an effective emergency response. We work closely with our local level partners. We hope to equip those that know their community best, and then help them and give them the tools necessary to be successful. During the emergencies, it is local cities and counties that provide community resiliency hubs, such as shelters, resource centers, cooling tents, warming stations, and reunification centers. And I think, again, I know that there's a lot of people probably here from emergency management. I just want to, I don't want you to think that, oh, Kevin's drank the Kool-Aid or this, that, or the other. We have been saying that emergency management disasters are local for decades. That goes back to the 60s and 70s when we used to be the civil defense. And as we came out of that, all disasters are local. I think what's happening at this point in time is the president is now saying, okay, we hear you, all disasters are local. So we need you to do more. You cannot just go to the federal government and hit the easy button. And again, in Florida, we as a state step in as a state managed approach, and we will help our partners get to that point where they need that assistance. I gave you 2 examples of where we go to FEMA, for example, for assistance. Again, that's the way it should work. We try to exhaust every type of possibility and capability at the local, city, county, and state level before we go up to that final federal level for assistance. But this is nothing new. I just want to make sure that I preach that a little bit, that this is nothing new than what we've been doing. By providing secure spaces with support and resources during the disasters, everyone at the local level fosters a sense of safety as well as preparedness for all of our Florida communities. Shifting ground at the federal level is where we start to navigate some uncertainty right now. Looking ahead, we can take all that we have learned from each and every hurricane season in Florida that we've experienced, and we need to continue to improve and adapt. And we are at a fork in the road of how do we continue to improve and adapt. Each year we face new challenges, but emergency management is not just about fixing problems as they come up. It's about proactively working towards a comprehensive system that runs smoothly, improves over time, and delivers quality results. I, again, say that Florida is the blueprint for that. Every single disaster we have, we don't look at what can the federal government do to help us solve this problem. We look first inward at building capability and capacity. For example, again, to my emergency management partners on the call, do you actually take the time to do a benefit cost analysis in the middle of a disaster? Let me give you an example of that. We were faced with needing to lease some heavy trucks to move some equipment around the state of Florida. When we got the lease quote back for 40 1.5 ton pickup trucks, not 1 ton, but 1.5 ton pickup trucks, so think 5,500, 550s and greater, the lease on that for the 30-day period was going to be $6 point some odd million. For us to buy them, it was $3 million. So we went with a lower price option. In the disaster, we bought 40 vehicles. Now we have built capability and capacity actually through a disaster by doing a benefit cost analysis, which is what the federal government wants us to do, and take the lower cost option. Again, I challenge you, are you doing that? We figured out how to crack that nut here in the state of Florida, and we have 4 people on our floor during every disaster, 24 hours a day, that are doing nothing but benefit cost analysis in real time to see if we can actually build better capability and capacity, actually while responding to a disaster, not just in the preparedness phase, but also in the response phase. So we're going to continue to work towards a comprehensive system that runs smoothly, improves over time, and delivers those quality results, as I just mentioned. As we grow and evolve, we want to continue to expand our capabilities. We strive to become more self-sufficient, less dependent on the federal government for our residents during times of disasters. You know, as I mentioned, I'm going to be on the FEMA Review Council, and we are going to continue to strive for what's not just best for the state of Florida, but what's best for everyone. Again, I know we got a lot of people that are on this call. Well, Kevin, you're from a big state, third largest state in the state, or third largest state in the country. How do you know what small governments are facing? Not mentioned in my background is I worked for a county that had less than 80,000 people, the city of Palm Coast, Florida, in Flagler County. So that was a coastal community that was small, rural per se. I went from that location to a medium-sized rural county, 500,000 people in the county, that had 7 different cities. I don't think any one of those cities had more than about 80,000 people in it. So again, I've been in the big, large environment, the city of Jacksonville, where we had 1.2 million people. I've been in those smaller communities. I've been not just an emergency manager, but I've been an assistant county administrator. I know and understand a little more of the complexities than just an emergency management director. And I look forward to bringing all of those things to the FEMA Review Council and helping us shape the future of what that's going to look like. So let's get into the tech and tools and innovation that we've been doing. Florida's vision, again, as I mentioned earlier, is to be the best in the country at what we do. And I've already talked about the 3 priorities. I'll say them once again for you guys that are maybe taking notes. For us to be the best in the country at everything we do, we have to, and I believe this in my heart of hearts, we've got to engage technology. We've got to leverage comprehensive process management, and we have to then train the profession on what it is we're doing. Just to go out and do generative AI doesn't do us any good if we don't actually train the profession on how to use that AI. That's why I love being here with Forerunner today. Forerunner is giving you a glimpse into what their system can do. You have to train your individuals. It's just like a plan. You can put a plan on a shelf, and it's a plan on a shelf. But it's not until you actually look at that plan, you train that plan, you effectuate that plan, that it's going to come to life. So we are in the process of doing that. As we look into the future, there's increasing need for states and locals to take on more of the management responsibilities. We have done that. We have developed a comprehensive recovery, preparedness, mitigation, and response grants program. And you know, it's much more than just WebEOC. It's much more than a mission management system. We are now tying intentionally mission management to procurement, to the recovery project worksheets, and into closeout, where we want a seamless gap from cradle to grave of everything that we do. That'll help our blue sky systems when we're going into recovery and we're trying to close out disasters 5, 10, 20, 25 years later, as it took us to close out Hurricane Andrew here in Florida. So we want to make sure that we're seamlessly integrating that technology and process together for change. I will say this: if you have not taken on a actual technology project and a process improvement project, critical to that success is going to be something called change management. I didn't know what change management was 4 years ago. I never heard of the term. Many of you may have, but I had not. If you're going to do a technology project, a comprehensive process management project, you need to engage organization change management from the get-go. That's going to help you, again, talk about the 3rd bullet point we talked about, which is that profession development. That's going to include your training. That's going to include the things that need to go, the integrations, the analytics, the things that you're going to need, those comprehensive reports that we'll talk even more about today. So please make sure you're doing that. Comprehensive change management or organization change management. You got to consider how to modernize your technologies. You can't just have the idea machine, and my team calls me the idea guy all the time. It can't be just ideas. You've got to actually methodically, strategically think about how you're going to modernize your systems. It is, and again, for the, I know there's Forerunners on here, if there's any other vendors, you should not come, and Forerunner did not do this. When they came to us and talked to us about their product, they didn't say, hey, tell me about what you do, and let me see if I can help you solve a problem. No, Forerunner came through the door and said, we know you have a problem, and here's how we can help you solve that problem. And sure enough, they helped us, they're helping us solve those problems. That's where the streamlining process plays a key role. If you know how you're modernizing your technologies and you have a strategic path, then you can actually look at the streamlining of the processes. In our mitigation section, as we did this comprehensive process, we found out that we had an entire section. We were doing a third review on something we'd already done a review on. And we didn't know that until we had actually process mapped out the process. So we actually were able to streamline, probably in some cases 6 weeks to 6 months of additional reviews just by looking at our process. So that's how we enhance coordination. We ensure a smoother implementation and a sustained capacity as demand evolves. Professional development, we again continue to train and educate state and local emergency management, which expands obviously some capability. Combine that with actual technology, combine that with process, and now we really are moving the needle on building capability and capacity. In the event that the state must take on a larger role in emergency response and recovery, which we anticipate we're going to have to do, Florida wants to make sure that we're prepared, and we're doing everything we can now with our partners at Forerunner, with our partners at Salesforce, and some of our other technology partners, ArcGIS, WebEOC, Javari, all of those individuals, we're coming together to make sure that we're ready to do that. Where do we have an Achilles heel? Well, right now, I think some of our Achilles heel falls in individual assistance. The state of Florida does not have an individual assistance program. We don't do disaster case management organically. Those are some things that we've got to figure out. And we're working with our technology partners. We're going to be looking at putting out potential procurements here in the coming days and weeks as we learn more about what that future of individual assistance, what the disaster case management looks like. Even if we get to a point where we public assistance block grant, what do those things look like? So we're moving forward. We're positioning ourselves today to be ready to pounce on that and get those procurements out the door quickly, while we're simultaneously looking at strategic direction. So you may say, well, Kevin, help me piece all that together. And that's a great question. So here's how I would say piece that together. What do we know about block grants holistically today at the federal level? 428, Emergency Management, FEMA 428 is a block grant program. HUD, CDBGDR is a block grant program. Citrus in USDA is a block grant program. Fisheries in Department of Commerce is a block grant program. Timber at USDA is a block grant program. So let's just take those 5 right there. What we're doing is we're going and looking at all those. What do all the 5 of those things have in common? Well, first thing they have in common is an action plan. So we know that we're going to need a program that's going to help us develop an action plan. Typically with all those programs, they tell us, they ask us, how do you plan to spend your money that you're allocated as a part of that action plan? So we're now starting to break that down. If we are allotted money, here's what we've done in the past with all of our FEMA programs, whether they're individual assistance or public assistance. These are the ones we want to keep. These are the ones that we don't necessarily invest a whole lot of money in, like the multifamily lease and repair program. That's just never really been a really good program for the state of Florida. But I tell you what was, STEP. STEP was a good program in the state of Florida. I know it became very, very popular with Superstorm Sandy up in the Northeast. So can we, as a part of our action plan, actually bring STEP back? And what does that look like? And how would we run that program? So those are the things that we're doing today that maybe helps you understand how we're looking at strategically where we want to take a program while looking at that process management. So if we do get a STEP program, our Elevate Florida program today probably looks very similar to our STEP program if we're allowed to run it. So that technology will be able to plug and play right into what we're doing. So those are all things that we are getting ready for as we move forward. So let's talk specifically about Forerunner. Forerunner has helped our staff to streamline the elevation certificate and floodplain management compliance tracking process. That used to be a extremely paper burdensome boxes upon boxes upon boxes of certificates. And we had all of those things manually. So along with FEMA providing flood zones, the application also provides evacuation zones, which once officially launched and made public will allow the public to know their zone and know their home, which is one of our campaigns for preparedness. We want people to know where they live at, know what their flood zone is, know what their evacuation zone is, be able to clearly see the difference. And Forerunner allows that. You can click on the evacuation zones, you can click on flood zones, and you can actually see what the differences are. That's something we don't have today, and we're looking forward to as we do this tomorrow. So as we continue on, what was once tracked on spreadsheets is stored in file cabinets and is now available visually on an accessible and user-friendly map, as you see here today. Using this tool, files, well, I shouldn't say files, warehouses of records can be attached to a property, allowing us to document compliance concerns when we conduct field tours in inside of communities, as well as streamline the tracking of compliance issues in a community. You may say, well, Kevin, yeah, that all sounds great. Florida has more flood insurance policies in Florida. We account for over 35%, I think it's 36% of all flood policies are in the state of Florida. So we account for more than 1/3 of those policies. So you can only imagine as I said, the warehouses of documents that we had. So this is a really big deal for us. So being able to use this tool really helps us. Working with Forerunner, we have additionally expanded the current tools with added tracking of repetitive flood, severe repetitive flood loss data, and mobile applications to assist the FDEM office staff of floodplain management when they're actually out in the field. This helps our staff when conducting those tours. Through this ongoing collaboration with Forerunner, we aim to continue expanding this groundbreaking tool to streamline processes and better facilitate Floridians' hurricane recovery and mitigation journeys. And just a couple of other programs that we have. DEMIS is our Division of Emergency Management Enterprise System. I kind of alluded to that earlier. This is where we're creating that cradle to grave. Once a mission comes in and it goes all the way through to closeout of a recovery project worksheet, we have now seamlessly integrated that all the way across the spectrum. So now we don't have to pull data to build the project worksheet. It automatically pulls it for us. We're able to build project worksheets in a matter of hours, where it used to take us matters of weeks to do that. And we're very, very excited about that. Another program we have is Beacon. Beacon is going nationwide based on a prototype here in Florida. Beacon is a dedicated, our state university system here in Florida runs a public radio network, if you will. They have all dedicated an HD radio station on their system to actually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, broadcast emergency information as a part of the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network. That's FPRN. I'll give credit where credit's due. Craig Fugate started that program. It kind of fell off over a couple of administrations, but he called me. He says, Kevin, you've got to get FPRN back up and running. We not only have taken what Craig, the foundation that Craig started, we've actually built upon it, and now it's Beacon, and our partners over at Futuri and the State University radio system and the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network have consolidated on Beacon. This is Gen AI. For you guys that don't know, they can take text messages, just a regular old digital piece of paper, and take that and load it into the system, and then it will verbatim read that in any type of on-air personality's voice that we want. They've recorded my voice. If we wanted to record Governor Ron DeSantis' voice, they could. If they wanted to record Craig Bucate's voice, they could. And then it's me or Craig or whoever actually giving that message out to Floridians in the state. And again, it's all done Gen AI. We send that straight to them. FROC, Florida's Recovery Obligation Calculation, is a proactive risk measure to assigning risk to applicants. We now actually advance money to people that are a lower risk. So that means they're doing proactive measures to get money to them faster after a disaster happens. We do that for categories A and B, that's emergency protective measures and debris removal. Today, we are bringing on Cat F, utilities, right now as a part of that program. We have over 500 applicants that are participating in that program. It is also the first of its kind program that incentivizes the emergency management accreditation program. We actually give 5 bonus points, which equates to 5% reimbursement for individuals that are EMAP accredited. So if you're EMAP accredited, now you can go to your county administrator, your city manager, and say, there is now an incentive, at least in the state of Florida, for us to be EMAP accredited. You're going to get 5% more advance to you because we're an EMAP accredited facility. If that's a $100 million debris bill, it costs about $50,000 to become EMAP accredited. That $100 million debris bill with a 5% enhancement on it just became worth $5 million. And a lot of cities and counties can get behind investing in EMAP now because in Florida, we actually incentivize that. So those are just a couple of programs we're doing. So in closing, our path forward, we want to keep hope, leadership, momentum going. We want to keep the path forward. We aim to not only prepare our residents, but also remain prepared ourselves, always constantly challenging ourselves for whatever may be thrown our way. As other states look to Florida, so we must continue to strive to innovate. We want to be the leader in the industry. It goes back to our vision statement. Our mission is to, get out there and help citizens and build more resilient Florida communities. But our vision, truly our vision, and I really have a great team behind me that buys into that vision. We want to be the best at everything we do, bar none. Texas has got me right now in preparedness, but we're coming for you, Texas. We're going to try to take over that #1 spot very soon. But we want to be the best at everything we do. We're the best at recovery. We're the best at response. We're the best at mitigation. We're coming for preparedness. We're the best at engaging information technology. We believe in Gen AI. We're engaging Gen AI. We believe in digital footprints. We're engaging that. We believe in NIST and CGG 60. We are getting all of those things done. We are certainly leading the way, and we want to continue to lead the way. We love being able to say Florida first. This is absolutely a Florida first for us. And again, guys at Forerunner, I just want to say, #1, thank you for everything that you do for us, everything you do with us. I will say, and I know you guys are going to talk about it a little bit, JT, but we gave Forerunner a complicated, complex reporting problem. And just to see, not just to see if they could do it, they did it. But it was something that our team needed. Forerunner stepped up to the plate. They got it done. And I know you guys are going to talk about that a little bit later, JT, but there's not a challenge that we haven't given you guys yet that you haven't been able to achieve a high level of success on. So again, JT, to you and all your team, thank you so much for what you do for us. We could not do this without you guys. You make us much better at what we do. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys today.
Well, thank you, Director Guthrie. And, I can speak for our entire team to say we just feel grateful that we get to work with the FDEM team because the work that y'all do is incredible and much needed. And also, I did want to say you weren't joking about the warehouses of paper, because when we first got going, we got to fly down to Tallahassee and spend a couple of days just scanning hundreds of thousands of documents from some of those rooms. But it was a blast, and I think our team looks fondly back at that time.
Yeah, I think our digitization project. I'm looking over here at Grant and out the corner of my eye. I think our digitization project is still going on. We're getting closer to getting it all done, but man, hundreds of, probably tens of thousands of boxes that we were scanning. So again, thank you for your all's help.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you for the amazing presentation. We really appreciate it.
Glad to do it.